June 23rd, 2024. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your weekly forecast, as we do every Sunday from about 11 a.m. Pacific until about 12:30, 1 o'clock, depending on the transits. So how this is going to go is we are going to first talk about what's coming up this week, and then we're going to pull a tarot card and do an angel reading for each sign based on rising sign. So these horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. If you don't know your rising sign, you might want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet, and you just need your exact time of birth and location to determine that information. Good morning, Katerina. Good morning, Stephen. Well, you made it on time. We're good. We just started. It's going to be, I think, I say this all the time because the stars are always offering us all sorts of divine disruptions that lead to opportunities, but Saturn is retrograding on the 29th. So we're going to really feel that stationing in the sky. We've felt it all month, as Saturn has moved about 1 degree. But this week's going to be interesting because Saturn's going to be in a conversation with Mercury as well as Venus. So let's, good morning, The Journey Home. Oh my goodness, you were born literally the year I graduated high school. And I graduated high school in Encino, California. I have many friends that live in Westlake. So welcome to our room. So nice to see you. Hi, CC Pups. Good to see you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we start, I'm just going to give you a little update. Lucky is doing so well. I think I've told you that I discovered he was allergic to the wolfskin chews. So I don't know if you can see him. I'm backwards. Can you see him under my desk? Lucky, do you want to come say hi? But his skin is so much better. He is acting like a puppy. He's got the zoomies again. He's all sassy, frassy in the morning. It's super cool. I'm kind of stalling a little bit to see if Small Wildflowers is going to end up in the room. I'm sure she's on her way. Okay, so Saturn is going to go retrograde next on the 29th at about 12:15 Pacific time. And this is, to me, going to be pretty significant because Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces rules mental health. It rules places that, on the challenging side, places that we feel an erosion of the self, or we feel the world is so dark and difficult and hard. And, we've seen that so much in the last few years, that we've seen, between ever since, the vid and all of that, it's just been a little nonsense. And here in the United States, we're in the middle of a, political year, an election year, and there's all sorts of things in the news. The reason I bring this up is because Saturn rules government, rules authority, rules, restriction and limitation. And here in the sign of Pisces, there could be a limitation of feeling of your dreams or feeling like things aren't moving forward. Now, let's talk about Saturn's benefits, which is to slow things down long enough to look at them in retrograde and decide if they are sustainable, if this is an endurable situation, if it is thriving and playing to your dream life, or are there things going on that are playing to an imprint? Saturn rules history. And here, I think these retrogrades, we saw one last year in the early degrees of Pisces. Now we're seeing it in the middle degrees. It's going to start at 19 degrees, the Libra degree of balance. It's going to retrograde all the way back until November. And at that time, it's going to be at 12 degrees, which is the Piscean degree. So we've walked through this Saturn. It's made aspects to the other planets. We know it had a conversation with Venus and Mercury and Mars as they booked around the Zodiac. And now the conversations are coming in trine. So they were in conjunction in the early part of the year. Now as Saturn retrogrades, we're going to see a conjunction, a trine between Saturn and Mercury all week long. Mercury is going through Cancer, so this is going to indicate a potential revisiting your home, your thoughts of how your childhood, your upbringing, how you nurture yourself, how you take care of your body, your health, your mental health, how your everyday life is in, could it be, running you, or are you driving the bus? Because Mercury rules our everyday thoughts. It rules our siblings, our teammates, our workmates, our roommates, our neighborhoods, our sidewalks, our roller skates, our skateboards, anything that rolls and moves. So I think this is going to be a beneficial trine, but when Saturn's retrograding, it's bringing up something for review. And I think that review is really focused on sustainability, looking at the chapters of your life coming up. And because when I was younger, I was a lot about, well, someday I'm going to. And as I've aged, someday gets to be today if I'm going to make any sort of headway. So I think that's important. Good morning, small wildflowers. So good to see you. Been waiting for your arrival. Okay, so on the 26th this week, we will see Saturn and Mercury in an exact trine at that Libra degree, 19 degrees. So you may find yourself finding balance within your review of where you've been, the structure you've done. You may find, oh, little drum roll. Okay, goody. So glad you're here. We're also going to see Mercury and Venus. Venus is going to join that trine. She's moving a little bit more slowly through Cancer. So there's going to be a lot of thoughts about how you make your money, how you enjoy your home, how you enjoy your family, what the things that you want moving forward, the things you want to root in and create. My personal perception of Saturn is he is not going through Pisces necessarily to blow up our lives and to make us all feel repressed in our dreams, but rather to have us really root in our divine connection, to understand that the laws of the universe are as real as gravity. Everyone knows if you throw something up, it's going to fall down. As you focus on something you want, the universe will start to bring that into its alignment. And you'll start to see evidence of that. One of the things that humans do is they get impatient about it. So once they start to see evidence of it, they want to move the story a little forward a little more quickly. And that leads me to Mars's sextile to Saturn. Mars is in its detriment in Taurus because Mars has to really look at the landscape of things. Taurus rules our personal history, as in respect to how we were raised and the confidence we have as a result of that. And that sextile to Saturn is again offering a favorable aspect for this review. It's almost as if we're not looking for judgment. We're not looking for criticism. We're just looking for a point of information that then gives us a more succinct focus and intention moving forward. Yeah, no, Mercury's still going on, hanging out in Cancer right now. That's why we're having all these thoughts of home and childhood and, maybe even experiencing a little nostalgia. We also see this week that Jupiter in Gemini is aspecting the nodes. It's making a trine to the South Node, offering a harmonious aspect for looking at habitual situations. Here we see this history theme again, the South Node, Saturn, the sign of Cancer, the sign of Taurus, all in play as the planets are going through this opportunity to, it's almost to fine tune. As we become more aware that any disruptions, any negativities give us opportunities to display the things we've learned, to feel the rootedness of our own awareness that gives us our intentions, and then to feel the universe support those dynamics. I think this is just super powerful. And I think that one of the things that's going to be of primary focus on a sort of more mundane level is your everyday life. How are you treating your body? How are you allowing your mental health? Are you getting true downtime? Downtime doesn't count if you're worried while you're relaxing or you're stressing while you're supposed to be having fun. It's really important to understand how much authentic silliness serves reality and practicality. I know it sounds silly, but it's true. All right. So, oh, Little Grasshopper. What a great name. I love that. I just wanted to go, shh. Remember in Kung Fu, the beginning when Keith Carradine is the little grasshopper and he gets his tattoos on that hot thing. Shh. Anyway, all right. I digress because I'm mid-century modern. All right. Okay. May I ask one quick question before I proceed? Anybody get anything in their P.O. box this week? Small. Anything in your P.O. box this week? It's quiet. Oh, Ensa. Can you hear me? Tommy, can you hear me? Okay. Well, I'm going to assume you have a letter saying, why won't they give it to you? Sorry, everybody, I'm stalling. I need to pay attention for a second. Do you know why they won't give it to you? I sent you something. I don't know if this is the same thing. It wasn't quite, it was a little bigger than a letter. It should be there, or it should be there tomorrow. Either way. Wait a minute. You gave me a P.O. box and you can't even access the P.O. box? I'm going to whack. Are you kidding me? You have something you need to get out of there. And it says Small Wildflowers on it, by the way. It doesn't say your real name. So I hope you can get it. All right. We're going to go on because, God bless the best laid plans of mice and men. That's why they won't give it to you, because it says Small Wildflowers on it? Are you kidding me? Are they going to send it back to me? Or they're just going to hold it forever? I need to know. Well, it's because I put Small Wildflowers on it, maybe. But it should just go to the P.O. box and they shouldn't care whose name is on it. Will you please let me know what happens? May not even be me. Maybe mine hasn't even arrived yet. Who knows? It's in a bubble envelope and it looks like a birthday present. So I don't even know why they would. And I know it's not a birthday present. All right. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with our little personal conversation here. So anyway, we'll move on. Yes, please do, because I've already been waiting all week to hear from you. All right, let's start with our birthday people. It is officially Cancer season, and summer is upon us. We will be taking the 4th. The 4th of July, I think, is in the middle of the week, so we won't worry about that now. All right, let's start with our Cancers. What is our tarot card for the week? The Fool. This is an interesting energy because certain people think of this as Uranus, right? Representing Uranus. I don't get that at all. I see Mars. Mars is the pioneer. Mars goes out and forges new ground and goes on adventures. So I think that this is happy birthday, Cancers. This is your solar return to almost think about the things you want, the dreams you want, maybe even be a little bit of a fool in the way that you dream. I tease you guys all the time that I'm going to win the lottery, right? But I literally think, because I'm a fool, that I'm going to win the lottery. And then what happened a couple weeks ago? I won $500. And I win little amounts, but I'm thinking now larger amounts. So I think that this is about being a dreamer. I think this is about, when we look at the tarot, some of the things that the symbolism. So the power comes from your solar plex, the ability to move forward. We see the tunic has this red underbelly, so there is going to be a sense of fight or flight or a sense of fear sometimes, but the shirt underneath the tunic is pure white. And so that's the purity of the light of source energy. The sun is so bright in this card. It's offering a new beginning, a new experience, a new possibility. And the little dog here is just like the Fool, excited about this little journey. And while neither one of them are looking where they're going, we really don't know how much peril the Fool is in. So let's see. I think Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums get to be a little bit of the Fool this week. Silly, fun, putting yourself out there in a way that, in your dream world, you know, in your Pisces energy. Hi, Lucy Rose. Good to see you. All right. Our first angel for our Cancer rising is Rosetta, the angel of parenting and guiding children. Archangel Uriel is in the opportunity or the obstacle. Oceana is in the angel's advice, and Archangel Raphael is in the final position. Now, we know as a Cancer rising, especially if you're a late born Cancer, that you're experiencing Pluto's opposition. And Pluto, well, you know, everybody wants to run and hide from Pluto. Pluto, sort of like Saturn, can be brutal in the beginning, you know, really hit you in the face with a deeper truth. And at the same time, you know, they say the truth will set you free. And maybe that's what the Fool is doing this week, is allowing the truth to set you free in some way. The truth of your heart, the truth of your discernment, the truth of your awareness. Rosetta is being joined by the raven. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the horse. Oceana is being joined by the dog. And Archangel Raphael has been joined by the eagle. All right, so I'm just going to offer this because we have a variety of age groups in our tribe. And, you know, oftentimes here on Sunday, not all of us are in the stage of wanting to birth children. So I reframe that as birthing the inner child. And the Fool would very much indicate for my Cancers to birth the inner child. Now, on the flip side of that, if you are within the age range of wanting to actually create a family, birth children, and you've had struggles, there's something that I always tell my clients to consider. The transits in your natal chart live with you your whole lifetime. We talk about this all the time. Certain transits are more challenging in the life path. So if the soul is making a choice, it may defer to a more calm time. If we look at the chart for this week, the planets have dispersed. Where they were clustered in the last few months in Aries and Taurus, being born during that time would make you very strong energy. And so, you know, my point is that the soul is also in co-creation with the physical. So here, Rosetta talks about the inner child or the actual guiding of children, birthing them, bringing them into the world, even teaching them. Now we have the raven, which is about timing. So here, I think that this is a time to be a bit of a fool in the way that you're birthing things that you want, whether they be actual physical things that you want that play to, you know, the chapters you want moving forward, or whether they're your little dream babies, okay? Because dream babies are just, you know, on the same level. Because when you have dream babies, even if you have little human babies, you give your human babies permission to dream. And what is Pisces? What is Saturn doing? Asking us to dig down and create roots, strong foundation for the talents. When I think of, I know that Pisces rules dream like sleep, but it rules songs and lyrics and music and photography and filmography and fantasy and illusion and all those fun things that you know, we would like to watch Avatar on, you know, in the movies. So there's a bigger thing going on here. And I hope I'm not drifting off too far, because this horse to me is really about delegating to a higher court, to the divine laws of the universe. And if you have been frustrated, it might be because you've been pushing too far, too much, Cancer, like a trying to move forward physically, taking physical actions before you are quite aware of your emotional belief system and the vibration that that puts out into the world. So, and the angel's advice is to get back down to basics, which is you, Oceana, trusting a bigger picture of your intuitiveness, what you want, and then being loyal beyond measure to that. The challenge of Cancer is there's a little bit of that crab crawl, right? It can go back and forth, back and forth. And when we are weighing the viability of something or the believability of it based on a human structure, we are diminishing ourselves and the potentials of that co-creation. So here is Archangel Raphael and the eagle, which is the connection to the divine. And there's the epiphany that brings in the balance. I don't really like the word healing per se, though I use it because healing infers that we are broken in some way, that we are compromised. And all I believe that we really are is in a bit of illusion or disruption because the human structure has blanketed or veiled the truth of the divine laws of the universe. So if we believe that the law of attraction is as viable as the gravity, and we put an awareness in our focus, we don't try to be perfect, we understand we're in a human wobble, the fool is not always going to be sure of where he's going. He's betting on something while he's looking up to the stars. So Cancer, I think that that's what this is about for you. And as there's a very strong potential because you have Venus right now, the Sun and Mercury all in your first house, that there could have a lot having to do with either conception of children, your own personal childhood, your siblings and how they affected you. It could also be how your everyday life is creating a sense of confidence for yourself as well as a sense of financial security. So that's where I'm going with that. All right. Onward and upward, as they say. I don't know who they are, and I don't know where they were going. But I assume it was some sort of military term. That's what it sounds like, now that I think about it. Lucy Rose, that last comment was so right on. Oh, Pisces is also, Pisces will want to retreat sometimes. The funny thing about, like, we look at the charts, right? And we think, oh, I need to have my sun or I need to have planets. If your south node is in Pisces, that might be like what you need to do when you get stressed out, is just to go like lay down in your room and be left alone. Hey, Audacity Theater, it's good to see you in the room this morning. All right, let's go on to our Leos. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card this week is celebration. This really is a joyous card. This is like where we're out and about. There's a sense of community in the background, as if these people are at a party or they're celebrating something that they have accomplished. So let's see where we're going this week. All right, here we go. Our first angel for our Leos is Serena, the angel of abundance and money. Then we have Aster, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. We have Chantal, the angel of love, in the angel's advice. And then we have Oceana again. Oh, Leo rising, yay. There's so much going on for Leo rising right now. I have at least 5 clients, all their sun in different places. A Cancer here, an Aries there, a Scorpio over here, and they all have Leo rising, and they all have similar things going on. It's so fascinating. And that's that Pluto transit, I'm pretty sure. All right, here we go. Leo. Serena is being joined by the cat. Ooh. Aster is being joined by the Grail Knight. Chantal is being joined by the Letting Go card. And Oceana is being joined by the communications card. So in our foundational position, while we could talk about money with Serena, I really feel like this is more about independent thinking, independent assertion. And I want to offer it this way. Cats are kind of aloof, right? People think cats aren't, the most cozy, not like a dog. But the thing about a cat, because I've had cats for years, or had them for decades, I should say, is if you don't treat a cat well, it doesn't hang out. What are you, Leo? You're a cat. I really feel like Serena is saying that abundance is coming, and now this is discernment right now, the cat. It's like if there's a situation in your life that is not serving you, like having too much fear about something, or thinking, oh, I've got to go do something mundane in order to, make sure I'm contributing to my family, or I'm, going to be okay. Because Astera here to me is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. And then the Grail Knight is talking about seeking the sacred. And I think that's the sacred inside of your heart. When I look at this overall, I'm not getting that strong pull for romance just yet. I'm getting more of a pull for self-identification. Like Leo has these talents and these things that they want to birth. And it's just a matter of sort of stretching yourself a little bit, a piece at a time, so that you can feel the viability of the journey. Because here, when Chantal talks about love and letting go, I feel like this is the fear card, right? This is like, I'm letting go of fear. Traditionally, when I look at that card, I start hearing the song from Frozen, Let It Go. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. What does Leo rule? The spine, courage, the heart, your expression. Oceana is telling you to trust that inner knowing, and now we have this communications card. Something is telling me to own yourself, be a little bit more aloof about the everyday dynamics that are going on. We know we've got Saturn making aspects to Mercury this week, which could feel like the motion is slower, but it's still in a trine. So if it feels like a little bit slower, because Mercury wants to move fast, Saturn slows things down, there might be details that are being missed. We know that Jupiter is transiting Gemini, which can make us, kind of vacillate between that bigger picture and the everyday details. So for my Leos, there's a sense of serenity. There's something coming in that's going to offer you more independence. And when I say that, it's a building blocks of feeling comfortable to birth something new. That's where Astera comes in. So I think this is going to be a powerful week, because when Pluto in its starts its opposite, goes back into Capricorn, then it's going to move back into your 7th house. This little bit of a transit could change your work dynamic in a way that is starting to show more financial resources coming through. I've noticed in celebrity worlds, because you see them all the time, when you look at some of their Pluto transits, there's a divine disruption that then leads to something much better. And I'm kind of feeling that a little bit here with Leo. All right, let's go on to our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Now, we talk about Saturn going through Pisces, right? And it's in a conjunction. It's where we feel that energy. But in Virgo, we feel this opposition, like something outside of myself is creating a problem or a speed bump or something, opposition. Let's look. The Empress. Now I want to offer this for my Virgos, because this is a very warm, loving, fuzzy energy. And I think this is about your reception of things, not having to work so hard, not having to, your ruling planet Mercury is having an aspect. We just talked about it with Saturn. And when I look at this, Venus rules so many things: money, self-confidence, our relationships, our sense of comfort in life. And I really think that this is not about asserting yourself towards those things, but using the crown of stars as your ruling tool. Let's look and see where we're going with our cards. so often, when we start to play with the laws of attraction, we'll like play with like parking spaces or things that seem more readily available to us. And then somewhere along the line, we can get caught back up in our everyday activities of efforting. And I think that that's what Spirit is reminding Virgo of this week, is to lay back and remember what is your being energy before you take your actions. All right. Our first angel is Mystique. Keep charging ahead. The second is Azure. The third is Xana. This is lovely. And the final is Chantal. Wow. Mystique is being joined by the Baird. The Grail Knight is joining Azure. Xana is being joined by the King. And the final, sorry, I have an itch on my back. Chantal's being joined by the Burden card. Okay. This is where I'm going with this. As we talked earlier, that Saturn rules history, Cancer rules the home, Taurus rules our personal history. Mars is making an aspect to Saturn. We have the trine from Mercury and Venus this week. So Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead in your awareness of the story you're telling, okay? How you speak, how you're speaking. Are you speaking the old story, or is there a new story, an enchanted story that really starts to line up with the fact that you're ready to receive bounty? Remember, Saturn rewards, as does Pluto, when you're willing to really go through the dark spot and persevere out. Because Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the very near future. Have patience and faith, and don't force it. Don't force it. Sit back, relax, and know that it is coming to you. Now, this is not about just sitting and waiting like, oh, yay. This is if there's an inspired thought to take action, then of course you would do that. But it is not about anything forcing or pushing or worrying about or have to or should, because this is all about bowing down to the universe, delivering something to you. Now we have Xana, the angel of protection in the angel's advice, and then we have the King. Now, this could potentially infer for some of you a partner, but it also pertains to justice. And justice can come in all sorts of forms. You've worked hard your whole life, and it's just for you to receive whatever it is you want. You could want to receive time alone. You could want to receive bounty in the form of money. Because here, when I look at Chantal, again, she's the angel of romance, but when you couple it with the burden, I feel like I'm really looking at Virgo feeling challenged because of the continued story of what obligations, duties, and things that they have to, that they're obligated to and they feel responsible to. And frankly, sometimes with the Virgo energy, unless the obligations, responsibilities, duties, the process has been completed, they can't really relax. That's the thing. Virgo rules daily stress, and sometimes, if things are disrupted, Virgo likes order, likes a sense of organization as well. So this is like keep charging ahead in a way that, as you've done everything Virgo can do to make things happen, now you're letting the universe bring the next inspiration, the next idea, the next action that you're going to take. But relaxation. Okay, on to our Libras, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Alrighty, here we go. Libra, we have the moon. This is a Pisces energy. This, while we think of the moon being Cancer, in this tarot deck, it's really more of a Piscean energy. These, the dog and the coyote or the wolf, they're very unsure. It's like back and forth, trying to pick a lane. We also know the South Node is going through your first house. And I think it's like somewhere around 11, 12 degrees right now. I didn't really write that down, but I want to offer it this way. That south node is, they talk about it being a point of erosion, to feel a certain sense of loss. It's the tail of the dragon where we excrete the toxic waste. But there's also this energy of kind of the toxic energy of being overly cooperative, the toxic energy of giving up your sense of self to be part of a union of some kind. So the South Node, as it goes to your first house, is compelling you to stretch yourself, as the North Node is offering in Aries in a sense of individuality. And this may be what the moon is talking about right now, sort of going back and forth between that Pisces energy of feeling a powerful co-creation, or am I deceiving myself? Let's look and see, Libra, where we're going. Our first angel is Aurora. You're flying high right now. Don't descend. Bridget's about looking deeper into a situation. Maya is about schooling and education. And there's Oceana again in the final position. So Libra, you're an air sign. You represent balance. There's a certain amount of process in that. You represent, civility. And here I'm thinking that there is the potential that now you're being called upon to pay attention to your inner voice. The moon is oftentimes refers to our inner voice. Aurora says you're flying high right now, and the Raven says there's a sense of synchronistic events happening and a certain amount of timing. Now we have Bridget being joined by the movement card. Maya is being joined by the Grail Knight. Well, that's coming up a lot today. And then we have the Bee joining Oceana. So this, for me, my Libras are being called into a place of stopping. I almost feel like this is not about physical movement, but more about mental and emotional process. Venus and Mercury are both playing a role in Saturn's retrograde. As the retrograde begins and Saturn is like standing in the sky at 19 degrees, which is the Libra degree, there's a sense of assessing a situation to understand the balance, the ebb and the flow of the dark and the light. That's kind of what I think this back and forth thing is with the moon. We see the sun and the moon sort of together here. We see these two forms of a dog, or the species of a canine. Here, Aurora is saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend with how you're operating, because you'll soon inspire others. And the Raven is about a timing. So there could very well be something that's going on, and you've done everything that you can do in this moment, and now you're holding space emotionally and spiritually for the outcome you want. Bridget's asking you to look deeper, and there's the movement card. Oftentimes you'll hear me say there can be movement without you being aware of movement. There are things going on in the background, decisions being made, people talking about things that you're not aware of, because you're about to learn, Libra, in some respects, or be reminded about what it's like to retain your focus on the things that you want. And any illusion would be that you are not standing in your, Libra represents literally the scales of justice. So I feel like whatever you might be walking through that has a bit of confusion attached to it, there's a sense of justice attached to it. And you're learning how to trust that while it's going through process. That if you're not taking action, your opportunity is to just hold space for it. Because here is your being energy and victory being offered to you. And there's Oceana saying, stay emotionally aligned to the outcome you want. And sometimes, and I'm going to offer this as a metaphor for my Libras. When I talk to people who have issues with money, oftentimes I will ask them to reframe the word and use the word resources, because money has this inadvertent ceiling, right? That says, oh, I can't get anything. It's hard for me to make money. But when we say the universe will provide all the resources that I need to pay my bills, to eat good food, to enjoy my downtime, then you're not putting an inadvertent ceiling on it. So somewhere broaden maybe your verbiage while you're in confusion or in indecision of some kind. and we'll go from there. Exactly. But, there's a lot of people, Saturnian people, invested in us being reliant on a system. 100 years ago, people, literally, gas was like a dime. People grew their own food. You went to the store for some things, but you primarily, you hunted and you grew and you took care of things. So, over the last 100 years, big business has made us invested in all branches of our life to be reliant on someone else. So that's the other thing that's going on behind the scenes. We all have our lives, and then there's the our little microcosm lives, and then there's the big pool that's going on around us. All right, let's go into our Scorpios. Ooh, the Ace of Cups. This is a lovely energy. For me, the Ace of Cups is always God offering some sort of overflow of abundance that makes me feel good, makes me feel emotionally peaceful and connected. Let's look and see where we're going, Scorpio. Hold on, we've got a little card upside down. I'm going to put that back in here properly. So this is for Scorpio rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Jeez Louise. All right. Our first angel for Scorpio is Athena. It's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Then we have Francesca. What do you visualize right now? Negativity will block your progress. Azure is saying your outcome will happen. No, don't force it. And Rochelle is talking about coming from your heart. And as you do that, prosperity reigns. That would be that cup overflowing. Athena is being joined by the partnership card. Francesca is being joined by the owl. The Grail Knight is joining Azure. And Joy is joining is Rochelle. Okay, I want to offer this. This week as we, walk through some of the transits that Saturn is offering us, they are favorable transits. While Saturn will always have a sense of history and a sense of revisiting something that might feel repressed or feel limiting, here with these trines, it's even making a sextile to Mars this week. So we've got the trine to Venus and Mercury. We've got the sextile to Mars. The sun is blowing by, so I'm not really throwing the sun in there right now, because I think that this is about Scorpio sort of honing their energy of awareness, knowing that they have this big and sometimes intense and brooding energy, but now using that energy with more awareness. Here we go. The partnership card could infer somebody else, but I almost feel like the gift that God is offering to Scorpio is an awareness of their emotional body and coming into partnership with their power and their strength, knowing how, and we kind of teased when Grasshopper was in the room, I'm not sure if she's still or he is still here, but about Kung Fu and about how you're going through and learning how to use the physical and even, your voice, Mercury, how you speak to engage rather than to gouge. Because Francesca and the owl are offering you an opportunity to look at where your focus is. There's always going to be something negative or something challenging, but how we approach it in many ways affects the income. And I think, or the outcome as well as your income. But I think this is a combination of awareness, again, of the duplicity here. Hi, Grasshopper. Good. I'm glad you're still here. Okay. Because I want to offer this. I love Scorpio energy, but an unconscious Scorpio energy is just all angry all the time. And the conscious energy is intuitive and powerful and, such a creator. So here we see your ruling planet, Pluto, retrograding back in the sign of independence and of self-assertion, Aquarius. We see your co-ruling planet, Mars, in the sign of your skills, right? Of your own voice. So coming into partnership with your self-assertion for the benefit of you so that your cup will overflow, because the story that Saturn might represent in your chart is just a story at this point, a piece of information. And if you hang your hat on that story and don't allow yourself to assert yourself into a new chapter, you might miss something pretty important, because Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't force it. And the Grail Knight is surrendering to that deeper knowing. When I think of Lancelot and I think about, the Knights Templar, the Knights Templar were people who were like the first group that said, I want you to be able to worship as you like. There were many agnostics in that period of time, because Rochelle is about your individual happiness and following your heart and your intuitiveness. And there's joy being offered. And the joy feels like a sense of awareness that joy comes from the personal satisfaction of not being triggered, not being baited, knowing how you show up. And if you want to, be scorpionic to somebody, then you're making the choice to do it. You're not reacting. And so here, I think this is a real opportunity to see the gift of Scorpio versus having just the reaction of the scorpionic Mars energy. So Rochelle and the Joy card are very powerful. This is where, we hear astrologers all the time talk about delayed reward with Saturn. And if we don't start to key into Saturn's reward, it will feel like it's the next lifetime. Because Saturn is about claiming your reward, building your reward, being tenacious during your reward. So all this activity that's going on with Mercury and Mars and Venus in relation to Saturn is offering opportunity, not just Saturn. Okay, on to our Sagittariuses. Oh, another lovely card. The Sun. This is fun. This is a Leo energy. This is little Apollo sitting on the horse, all vulnerable and yet confident, right? Sitting there, no saddle, no reins. We see the sunflowers growing up over the block, right? So there, at some point we couldn't see what was growing, but now the sun is shining. So something is coming to fruition. Let's look and see. Our first angel is Ray. The second is Daniel, the angel of marriage. Then we have the protection card in the form of Xana, and Archangel Raphael is offering an epiphany and a balancing. Ray is being joined by the Hawk. Daniel is being joined by the transformational death card. Xana is being joined by the focus card. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the wealth card. This is so interesting to me, because when I look at this, I feel, as an intuitive, hi, Queen Leo, good to see you. So nice you're in the room today. As I've aged, and I've become more, intuitive, and I trust it, I know like how the landscape of how I work, right? So like John Edward, because he taught me this, spirit triggers his memories lots of times when he's in a session. So he doesn't actually see the person that he's describing or reading. He'll see a version of it that's similar to something he's experienced. I say this because I think that this might be going on a little bit for Sagittarius, that there is something about connecting with spirit that is allowing you to see things from a new perspective. Now, we know that your ruling planet has moved into Gemini for the next year. Gemini rules that childhood experience. The sun infers a childhood, dynamic of, we see pleasure here, yes. So here, there is this connection to spirit that gives me an opportunity to see above a situation in some respects. And in doing so, seeing how it benefits me, how it's become a tool to support versus an anchor to tether me. Because now when I go to Daniel, the angel of marriage, the angel very much represents your history in relationships. Now I think there's been a transformation of your history, that somehow it's working for you instead of working against you. And I say that because Archangel Raphael is offering a healing. So here, the death card is a 46, which reduces down to a 10. The hawk is an 11, which reduces down, is an 11, which is the master number of thought. We're seeing 3 ones here. We're seeing Mercury making an aspect to Saturn in Pisces. So there is this opportunity to see how where you have been could potentially have been the divine disruptions that have helped you to hone in and focus in on what you want. And that focus is giving you protection to move forward in a more succinct way, in a way that manifests more quickly. In the final position is Archangel Raphael and the wealth card. And the wealth card is a 34 that reduces down to a 7. This feels like a bit of balance. It also feels like a little bit more of harmonious wealth. So I want to offer this for my Sagittarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your ruling planet, Jupiter, governs the connection to the divine, the ability to connect. Within the Sagittarius energy, we see 2 very powerful points, the great attractor and the galactic center. And as such, when you connect to those and when you engage that natural energy that you have, there are solutions, or there are epiphanies that will come that will bring sense to wherever you've been, that will move the story forward in a more succinct way, and you'll feel more joy and fun. So I'm going there. Okay, now we're going on to Capricorn. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Well, that makes sense, Stephen, because the Fool is that pure energy where there's no experience whatsoever. And the 0 degree is that, especially if it's on the world axis. Okay. Here we go for our Capricorns. Now, this is a very interesting energy. Capricorn, you're experiencing Pluto transiting your 2nd house right now in retrograde as it's moving back into your 1st house. When this happens at that anaretic degree, 29 degrees, right? It's that anaretic degree. Again, master number of thought. I believe that Capricorn has been really going through a metamorphosis of understanding that dutiful behaviors to my detriment do not really serve or lead anybody. Now your ruling planet is going retrograde in the sign of spiritual divinity and structure. So what do we see here? The character is walking away from something that appears to be balanced, but it does not resonate with his spiritual awareness at this point. So it may look good. And this is the ultimate Saturn energy, right? Is Saturn asks you to, is this enduring? Can you sustain this dynamic and thrive? And to feel things are growing. Is the dynamic that you are pursuing something Saturn can reward down the line? Because if you're just running for the weekend, kind of money, then you'll burn out at some point. So I think my Capricorns are going to start to assess something and whether or not it aligns to the depth of the truth of who they are becoming and the awareness they want to foster in their everyday life. Mercury trining your ruling planet. Let's see where we're going. It takes a brave person to walk away from something that looks balanced but isn't. And it could be a belief, it could be a behavior, it could be a habit. It doesn't have to be a person, a job, or anything that detonates your life. although Pluto would infer some detonation, but I think it's psychological. It's more that deep imprint of where I make my decisions. I didn't realize for a long time that I made decisions based on something. I thought I was making them over here, and then I saw, oh no, I'm making them on fear over here and unsureness over here and feeling incapable or incapable over here. And that awareness helped me step into my capabilities. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for our Capricorns is Astera. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Here we go. Grace and Antoinette's about having compassion as you go through that very challenging energy. There's Archangel Gabriel talking about your communication. And then there's Francesca, what we visualize. There's always two sides to everything, right? And when we remember that the human brain has been trained to think in fear, it has been trained to think in lack from the moment that you are conceived. Pretty much, there's the beginning. Because if you're not experiencing it as a baby, you're being trained within the environment about it. Let's say that you're a kid that watches TV. And I know they don't do all the drug commercials on the Disney Channel, but eventually you start to migrate into your parents' TV and you hear all that subliminally. So there's that imprint starting. You'll need this in order to make that. All right, Astera, Capricorn, is being joined by the deer representing fear. We have Grace and Antoinette being joined by the joy card. We have Archangel Gabriel being joined by the hawk. This is pretty good stuff going on here. And then we have the horse joining Francesca. I really think that this is a continuation. And Saturn, your ruling planet's retrograde until November, will revisit many things. And it doesn't have to be the things that are all sad and nasty. It could be things that you want to build, reasons why you're walking away from some beliefs, some dynamics, some habits, because they don't serve the bigger picture of the next chapter that you want. And that's what Astera is saying. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Recognize your fear because you rule fear and how fear serves you. Face everything and rise, false evidence appearing real, and then be gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you continue to reach for the stars. This compassion that you're having is for your own personal joy. You're not selfish. You're not hoarding yourself. You're not keeping other people from their happiness. You deserve happiness more than maybe some of the other signs. And I don't mean that to be mean, but you're one dutiful energy. And oftentimes the Capricorn energy that is not sought or experienced a spiritual dynamic will default to the rules and the regulations and the limitations and even the fears that are being impressed upon it. So as you stretch for a new experience, having the grace and the compassion for yourself to say, I deserve to be joyful. I deserve to have a good time. Here's Archangel Gabriel saying, supporting that you're looking above a situation and continuing to urge you to speak of what you see above the situation. Pardon me. The deer is a 22, which is a partnership with your fear and with the spirit. The 37 reduces down to a 1. The hawk is an 11. There's 3 ones in a row. The communication that Archangel Gabriel is talking about mirrors these ones. Mercury is mirroring, I pointed to my notes. Mercury is trine to Saturn, is again supporting this idea of looking at something and rather than judging it, villainizing it, or regretting or feeling like time has passed you by, no, this is just an opportunity to say another observation, and now I'm willing to go in a new direction. I'm willing to go in the direction of the things that I have started to incorporate in my life. This is where Capricorn energy is great, because as Capricorn grasps the energy of the divine laws of the universe and then implements them, they become very powerful and they become building tools that represent true leadership for others. Okay, on to our Aquarius. I'll take a quick sip. All right, let's see, Aquarius. What is your tarot card this week? Oh, that would be Pluto's transit, potentially. This is the 10 of Wands. This is a card that represents burden, working hard, not smart. When we look at this guy's leggings and his shoes, they have a lot of brown hue. And while this is a fire, the wands are fire, I feel like this guy's very stuck in his earthly obligations. There's not a lot of the tunic being red, the belt being brown, while his hair is yellow potentially. I think this is indicating a lack of inspiration because of burden. Stagnate. Well, it could be stagnant, but he's trying to shove these somewhere. He's trying to take them somewhere, but it's just so incredibly awkward how he's doing it. He's almost created a wall in front of himself. Okay, let's see what's going on for Aquarius. Because there could be a wall of something that you can't see that's creating a burden. All right. Aquarius, your first angel is Azure. Your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith. Isaiah is talking about a gestation period. Indriel is talking about shining your light. And patience is talking about synthesizing of information. And we could say that your co-ruling planet, Saturn, is going retrograde, which could infer some influence over this 10, you know, because Saturn in its challenging energy can be very burdensome. Azure's being joined by the partnership card. Isaiah's being joined by the communications card. Indriel's being joined by the trust card. And Patience is being joined by the fire fairy. Okay, so what I want to say is that I think as I look at the whole spread, that Spirit is encouraging our Aquarius rising moon, sun, and stelliums to look at where their perception, where their sense of passion, creativity, you know, the things that fire represents, which is, you know, life, and where you might have be looking at things from a more burdensome way. Because now Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't force it. Then we see the partnership card. And I feel like this is where, while Aquarius rules the stars and space and innovation in the future, there's also a weird sense of that quick, unexpected, that nervousness, you know, ruling the nervous system. And maybe part of that burden card, it is a 10, is your thoughts are not really, you're feeling a little like, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to know that things are moving forward. And this is about partnership with your desires and your intentions, because here is the communications card, your self-talk, and it's time to give birth and to start to gestate and nurture a new line of thought. And that line of thought is really trusting a larger picture of what's going on. And on some level, Aquarius by nature is designed as a rising sign to see into the future. But when we look across the way at your Leo energy, we can see that there's the potential that you could be very fixed in how you interact in your professional and personal partnerships. Because here, the patience card is now synthesizing information. And I think this is a lot about optimism and about, you know, the potential of seeing things from a new place. This is where I'm going. As an Aquarius, having the, you know, Pluto is hovering in your 12th house, about to go into your first house, breaking up old ancestral karmic dynamics, anywhere there's deception or illusion, you know, of Capricorn energy, right? That we layer the Capricorn, the Pisces energy, and that 12th house energy. Now Spirit is saying to you, Trust in your outcome. Know that you are literally an upachaya house that rewards over time. And part of your experimentation and scientific dynamic is to watch how you line up rather than looking at the burden of wanting it right now. There's something about time and speed hitting me. So as I become more aware that there is the process of manifestation is twofold. Number one, yes, spirit has to align all the people and dynamics to support what you're endeavoring, but your ability to stand in alignment to that without any wobble is dictates a lot of the speed. So here, this is to me feels like if you want to move things faster, then infuse a little bit of optimism and observe how much you're telling a new story versus maybe an old story. And one must be so careful how they tell a new story. And I say it like this. Oftentimes I'll be talking to someone, they go, I need to do more fun things. And the minute they say they need to, I feel, ooh, it's I get to. This small adverb, and I believe it's an adverb, get to, should, whatever that word is in the English language, whatever those phrases are. When you're saying have to, should, need, they're very obligatory and they're very draggy foot. But when you say I get to, or I'm excited about, or this is, and you're pay attention to your vibration, Aquarius. I think you're gonna see, as you're aware of your communication style, you'll start to move the story forward a bit more quickly. Even when you're doing affirmations, when you're like, I want, the universe hears the word want and then responds to it. Oh, they want to want something versus I am enjoying a relationship. I am enjoying winning the lottery. The I am is very powerful. So the subtlety of whether you're putting something out in the future or declaring it in the present is really powerful. All right, let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Not an easy card, but you have Saturn traversing your first house. So here it is. This is a very challenging Five of Pentacles because these characters are wounded, and their wounds are so in their face that they can't see the potential for a solution. And the guy on the crutches, it looks like he sees the church, but he's still just following the woman who doesn't see anything. So we call this a card potentially of ill health, of rejection. We say it's rejection because there's a potential solution that is being ignored. Now I want to offer this because we know that Pisces rules mental health, research, hospitals, places we feel alone, orphanages, foster care, mental, like old age homes, a place for mom. But it also rules such a beautiful, it's very polarizing in many ways, house. So as it's in your first house, I think what this is saying is Saturn is representing this challenging energy. And as it retrogrades, it's going to ask you if you are really, when I did my Saturn, or when I talked about Saturn entering Pisces, I very much talked about it being a 2-year period of anchoring in our divine beliefs, the things we've learned, the teachings we've learned, the things that have resonated with us, whatever they are. And that's what I think this card is about for my Pisces. Let's go on to the reading. Our first angel is patience, the observation of something. Asylums, thank you. That's a great word I didn't think of. Then we have Archangel Gabriel, your self-talk. Then we have Desiree talking about conditions. Then we have Indra, the light worker. This retrograde for my Pisces is really going to push up the I am and the definition of that for you. What am I? And for those of you that aren't Pisces rising, wherever Pisces is in your chart could accentuate what do I believe I am? And when you think about that for a little bit of time, you may realize how many other people influenced that I am, because that brought some sense of potential connection or some sort of validation to you. So Patience is being joined by the raven. So it's time to observe how you are synthesizing the information, and if indeed you are allowing yourself the joy of your own self-expression, of your own, what is it that you're entrenched in that won't allow you to see this divinity within you? That's what's up. We have Archangel Gabriel. Talk about the things that you love. Talk about, be loyal to the things that you love. Observe. It's time to observe how you are processing yourself. And because you're mutable, because you're, one of those signs that feels most comfortable when it's intermingled with another, the differentiating could be very powerful for you right now, and uplifting rather than tanking, because Desiree is asking you to it's time to look at the conditions of your own self-talk. We can tell our sad story, and it's true. I'm not going to say it isn't true, but does it serve us in each chapter to go back and anchor and bring that back in? Because we do see history in the Pisces energy again, because it is that ancestral history. It's the soul's imprint. So we have Indriel being joined by the fire fairy. We're literally going for, right now, Spirit is asking very much, as Saturn is standing in the sky of your first house at 19 degrees. So if your rising is around 19 degrees, if you have any planets in, Pisces at around that, and going back to 12 degrees, to revisit and to reframe how you are walking through your manifestation. Are you aligning with your deeper truth, or inadvertently are you, like this character right here, just following the guy in front of you that doesn't really know that there's a solution right here? That's where I'm going with that. Okay, on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Ooh, goodness gracious. Okay. Aries, here we go. The 10 of Pentacles. I love it. This represents money, yes. It represents resources. It represents community. It represents tradition. It represents things that come from historic dynamics, or dominoes, I could say. It has everything in it. It has the wealth, the bounty of good food. It has the pets. It has the grandparents. It has the couplehood. Just, there's a lot of yummy stuff here. Let's see where we're going. Lucy Rose, those conversations that initially may feel annoying are the beautiful conversations that give you the discernment, whether you trust your gut or listen to some outside source. Without those this is where I want to reframe some of this for you, because this last year I've had so much outside disruption and literally assaults on my character, and it gave me opportunities to display a more aware version of myself that made me super proud. And as an Aries rising, I feel like this 10 of Pentacles is showing me that I have come into some sort of awareness that's going to create more flow and resources for me. All right, here we go. Aries, your first angel is Maya, the angel of schooling and education. Then we have Oceana, about trusting your gut. Ha 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 ha. Then we have Rochelle, following your heart and bringing in prosperity. And then Shanti, the angel of peace. We don't often associate the god of war with peace, do we? But the god of war is in Taurus right now, looking at the landscape of his personal history, having to slow down and traverse the mountains. And in doing so, Mars is learning something. I really think Mars is stretching past this blatant and unconscious warrior energy. I believe that, again, I refer to this often. When Mars spent 7 months in Gemini, we're looking now almost 2 years ago, I think it was in 2022, 2023, Mars really had an opportunity to see how he thinks, how he interacts with people, and how, whether you're right or do you want to be happy? Do you just want to barf your truth, or do you want people to actually hear your truth? And Mars has become aware of that. So here, there is probably benefit to be garnished as you've been going through this education. And now, Shanti, the angel of peace, Yahoo. Okay, Maya's being joined by the transformational swan, trusting your intuitive gifts. Oceana's being joined by the letting go card. Rochelle's being joined by the water fairy. And Shanti is being joined by the risk card. This is really very fabulous for me, because when I look at this, I think that not only am I aware of my own transformation, I feel a sense of celebration and a sense of betting on myself. I think I've told you guys that I have in the background going on this investigation, okay? And the people that are being investigated I don't think they know it yet. But the longer it goes on, at first I would get concerned. Oh gosh, will I be right? Will I be wrong? What prices will I pay? What wars will start? And then I started to trust the timing of things. I started to learn to trust my intuitive knowing that I wasn't right for the sake of just Teri wanting to be right, but that this was true justice and balance in my situation. I say that because you're starting to, Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, literally you have been learning about how to assert yourself in a more effective way. And the swan is offering evidence of that transformation, evidence that you're still taking off, but you're definitely in an awareness of things. And in that transformation, it isn't about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's about knowing how to use your sword and your fire. Because here, Oceana tells me that you're starting to instinctually follow things. You're starting to pay attention to fear in a new way. Fear as your little interior warning system, and not to hold you back, but to make you aware. Are you following your intuitiveness? Are you following your gut? Do you trust it? It's a repetitive process. Nobody learns anything once or even 100 times. If we did, we wouldn't have multiple lifetimes, or we wouldn't have, multiple experiences in one lifetime. Because now, as you risk a more peaceful stance, what I believe you will get is major benefit. People listening more. And it's not that you're being disempowered. It's that you're taking the same topic and approaching it from the perception and perspective of those that you will interact with, which is why communication comes up, which is why your schooling and education of your awareness has come up, and why when you're following your heart, this is sort of an opportunity to say, well, if I was communicated with in this way, how would I respond? And in that moment of awareness, you can then communicate more effectively and therefore receive the outcome and the benefit you're looking for. The risking of the peace is also trusting that tranquility is a natural human experience. And we often don't feel that because the media and the way we've been trained is to motivate people through fear. So now Aries is having an opportunity to be motivated by an inspired idea that puts us into action. Okay, here we go. On to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card for this week is drama. Drama, 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 drama. All right, we know Mars is traveling through your first house. That can kick up the dust. Now, we just got done talking about an evolved version of Mars, I know, when we were talking about Aries, but not all Mars energy is evolved. Now, we have Mars making a sextile to Saturn this week. But overall, what I think, Taurus, is that Mars traveling through your house, having Uranus, liberating you in many ways, you ruling a personal sense of confidence and self-worth. And this could very well be the end of drama. Let's see what the rest of the spread is. Because when you look carefully at this, the swords are very lined up, very pretty evenly. There's not a lot of blood or mayhem. It's actually quite clean. So there's a sense of overkill. There's a sense of being overly dramatic. So let's see where we're going. I'm thinking it's the release of drama. Isabella says, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. Shanti is the angel of peace. Chantal is the angel of love and romance. And then Archangel Raphael is offering an epiphany, an awareness, and the balancing, aka used to be known as a healing. I was hoping for this. Let's see where we're going. Isabella is being joined by the Risk card. Shanti is being joined by the Eagle. Chantal is being joined by the Spider. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Communications card. You know, I got to tell you, I think for my Tauruses, this is an awareness of people, situations, and places that create drama for you, and you may be just willing to sidestep those situations. Because yes, the timing is right to risk your happiness. And that's what Uranus has been doing through your first house, is liberating you from anything that's tethered you. Now, Mars going through that house and having it make an aspect this week to Saturn's ruling history, ruling things, Pisces, that could potentially be erosive, could potentially, if we think about the shadow side of Pisces, we look at addiction, and addiction is dramatic, okay? But I'm not talking about addiction per se, as much as I'm talking about Taurus having an awareness of the things or the people or the dynamics that create drama in their life and saying, no, thank you. No, thank you. I am a harborer of peace. I'm connected to the angelic realm. I no longer want to accept your dramatic take of things or your whatever it is. The angels are saying to have a relationship like the fly goes into this web and doesn't come out, what you love and what you want. It's almost a little moment to be like healthy boundaries. I want to say it this way, not to try to hurt anyone around you, but any awarenesses that you have of your own obligations, anything that creates drama in your life is now having an opportunity to be balanced through communication. And that could be self-talk, or it could be aware of the people around you that create drama. There is a person, that a relative of mine, that found value in talking to other people about their problems. So whenever they were in a situation, they would say, oh, tell me about that problem that you had. And I believe that when you talk too much about drama and problems, you bring them to the forefront. So I started to see this person as problematic because they couldn't talk about happy things, about dreams. Those were too pie in the sky for the way they thought. But they could talk about your cancer. They could talk about your divorce. They could talk about your crap all day long in the form of trying to help you out, which was really doing the exact opposite. I don't like to be around people like that anymore. So I don't talk to people like that anymore. Because the more I know about thought and focused thought, the less I want to be around people who talk unconsciously about their crap. Because you can talk about your crap and not have it put you in a freaking spin cycle. Okay, on to our final sign for this Sunday morning, our Geminis. And what more perfect we have, the reflective and the enlightenment of the Hermit. The Hermit has a mercurial feel. It rules Virgo. It rules work. It also has a Saturnian feel. We see this coldness. This man is having to stop. I call him a man with father time. This wise one has had to stop and understand this cold moment in order to be enlightened. So let's see where we're going. Because we have Jupiter transiting through your first house, and we just had a bunch of planets going through Venus and Mercury and the Sun. And I want to offer this because as the transit of Jupiter in your first house offers this expansion and balance between the details. Gemini, though, I want to say everyday life. I think this has to do with work and about how you feel about your work, how you process your work day. And you may have some epiphanies about some things and want to expand things in some way that serves a greater sense of flow and wealth and happiness. Our first angel for Gemini is Archangel Michael, asking you to have the courage to make the changes in your life. Isaiah is talking about new beginnings and the gestation period. Ariel is talking about connecting with spirit in the process through prayer and meditation. And then we have Rosetta, and that's that inner child. I really think that's that inner child. What would she want to do, or he want to do all day long, if they could choose how they had their day roll and make money at the same time? We have the High Priestess joining Archangel Michael, which would very much infer to have the courage to make the discernment between what enlightens you and what tethers you to a cold experience. We have Isaiah being joined by the Raven, which offers magic as we start to think and we start to give life to new ideas and new situations. Now, I want to offer this for my Geminis, because it's not about quitting your day job, but maybe augmenting your day job with something a little more dreamy or fun, and then that could start getting some traction that would offer you an opportunity at some point to make a bigger shift. We have Ariel being joined by the serpent, knowledge and healing. And then we have Rosetta being joined by the novice. This week for my Geminis, I think there is going to be a series of reflections and a series of things that come into your awareness that say, hey, you know what? I really want to capitalize on my Geminian energy and enjoy more things that I find that intrigue me, that stoke my curiosity, that stoke my sense of fun and excitement. And I think it has to do directly with your work environment, as indicated by the Hermit. I think that this is about connecting with your inner voice, as evidenced by Rosetta and the novice. I think it's about using skills you have that might just feel like hobbies to you on some level, but as you engage them, there's the potential of getting more traction and to build something bigger than, and maybe you don't want to build anything big. Maybe it's just about allowing yourself to relax, but this is time to give new ideas about something, and to start to really, this isn't about trying to take action. It's about deliberating on what it would feel like. It's also about looking, wherever you've been, that skull, man, there's no meat left there. This raven's got to fly off to something new. Now there's an opportunity to shed a skin, and the connection with spirit is offering you an opportunity to receive divine knowledge that would support this inner, this epiphany, this enlightenment, because there's a new beginning being offered. And I think it has to do with more of something that you love from a childlike perspective, something that's more fun. When I think about my career path, well, my work is I used to call it fun. I don't really call it fun anymore, but I still think it's the most fun thing I can ever do, to play in the realm of spirit, to play in the realm of astrology, to play in the divine laws of the universe. If you've ever had a reading with me, you'll know I talk too much, man. I always go over. I'm like the worst when it comes to just cutting things off. And that's where I think the display of the joy of my work and how much I have pride in it shows up, because I don't care about the time. And I think that this is an opportunity for my Geminis to do something within their work career sector is much more aligned to the joy of their heart. Or if they're already started that endeavor, to start to nurture it a little bit more, put a little, a little bit of love on it, I think. And if that love is only in your mind, imagining what it feels like, that's a very powerful dynamic to move the story forward. All right, my darlings, that's it for this Sunday. And this week's transit, again, Saturn's playing a big part as it stands stationing in the sky. It's having conversations with Mercury, Venus, and Mars. They're all favorable, but Saturn is always going to revisit something for a reframing. So we'll be looking at that. All right, everybody, I'll see you next week. Small, keep me posted, if you will, on the postal situation. And we will talk about how to rectify that in the future, because this is just one little envelope. So we'll talk. All right, everybody, I'm sending lots of love to you. I want to thank you for your support and for being here. I always appreciate you so much. Hey, Jenny, it's good to see you in the room. And we'll be back next Sunday. And I'll probably have curly hair again because it's that time of year. All right. Peace out, everybody. See you soon.